A decade has passed without a sign of life from the once great Test Drive series. 2022 looks to be the year of resurrection for the franchise with its newest product.
We are all excited about the new Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, right? But what if I told you that this may be the last time we see this series in its current form? This and what the Forza franchise has to do with all of this is coming up, so stay tuned.
It's 1987. 7 years before the Need for Speeds of the world got to see the light of day, an arcade game called Test Drive was released. Over the following years, the series developed into a staple of console racing by implementing an open-world map and catering to a market that was ready for innovation. With luxury as a focal point, players were treated with something the youth calls drip nowadays. The game was still centered around racing, but the general attitude of it was naturally attractive to the casual racing fan.
It's a really underrated part of Test Drive. Being able to express yourself by more than just winning is something that even newer racing titles lack. But now think back to the technology all those games in the 80s and 90s were programmed on. That makes it even more impressive.
Up to 2006, 16 different Test Drive games were published under numerous developers, such as the later EA Canada. Test Drive Unlimited, which was released in 2006, was done so by Atari, which attempted to bring the open-world character of the game to a new scale. A massive street network allowed players to discover new parts of the game every day. This trend only continued with the successor in 2012, even though critical voices began to get louder after some features seemed half-ready at release. If you only feel half-ready in terms of your sim racing knowledge, be sure to like the video, hit the bell, and subscribe. So whenever there is something new from us, you are the first one to notice it. But back to Test Drive.
Regardless of all the criticism the second installment had to endure, the fanbase seemed passionate about the future. That is part of the reason it is so strange we had to wait 10 years for a new game. In gaming years, that is long enough to become irrelevant. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown is supposed to be the new beginning. There have been quite a few problems with developers in the past. Atari and Aiden Games were battling more than working together on former titles of TDU. That's why the news about a rebuild from the ground up for Solar Crown seemed very positive.
Narcon and Kiloton are the new name holders. A good duo if you like rally games, for example. Kiloton, or KT Racing as it is sometimes referred to, is developing Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. The team isn't brand new though, as two of the technical directors from previous games will be returning. The influence of the returning staff is visible through the trailers. The show aspect gets brought across in an instant. Thankfully, you will still be able to flex on them haters with a new watch while casually winning a ride for yourself. While gameplay footage is slim to none, you can hope for graphics which meet the industry standard. As we know with the WRC series, Kiloton is no stranger to making your game look smooth. But regardless, any game that hopefully wants to adapt to next gen will need that. Not as a unique selling point, but as a reason not to flop.
The duo of Narcon and KT Games can bring a lot more to the table, however. Especially when it comes to physics or gameplay. Fans will be on their heels in hopes for some improvement. The KT engine is actually mad underrated, especially in the damage model. So there are definitely hopes that TDU Solar Crown makes a leap forward in any department.
The problem is that aside from maybe the setting, we did not really see anything new and exciting yet. The gambling aspect has been present in TDU before, but the poor online service kept it from being a success. Unless you're going for case openings like in Hot Wheels, I don't see the selling point other than the general feeling.
One problematic thing is that we just didn't see any gameplay at all. So the all-around setting looks cool, and you can gamble your life away now consistently, but if there are improvements, where are they shown? I don't want to play Doomsayer here. But if it's the same situation as last time, Test Drive will be in for a rough ride.
Ever since the last Test Drive was released, open-world racing games have become more and more common. The Crew 1 and 2, Burnout Paradise Remastered, Need for Speed, and the now extremely well-known Forza Horizon series. All of these titles did things similarly, and most importantly, more consistently than Test Drive, while TDU was on hiatus. To put it into perspective, when the last Test Drive was released, GTA 5 was the hot new stuff. And we all know how ancient that title seems nowadays.
The market isn't at all deprived of this type of game, which makes Solar Crown so much more important for the Test Drive franchise. With the recent success of Forza Horizon 5, it remains to be seen how often fans want to see open-world racers recycled.
In addition to that, a lot of what has made Test Drive popular is now present in other games as well. A field of 100 plus cars are in Need for Speed, and as many as 500 plus can be found in Horizon 5. Developers have also shifted towards a more free approach to the gameplay of open-world racers, instead of including it as an afterthought. Of course, Test Drive has many features unique to the franchise. There seems to be the aforementioned emphasis on gambling, as seen in the trailers. In addition to that, if the new game is anything like the previous Test Drives, the open world will be massive.
As a point of reference, the map of TDU2 is 20 times as big as that of Forza Horizon 5. Of course, it's not as densely populated, so you see some blind spots a lot of the time. But if the trend continues, the map of Solar Crown, which is modeled after Hong Kong, could be enormous. The only competition would then be the Crew, which has a bigger map up until now. But that is exactly the direction KT Games and Nacon should be going.
Competition isn't always a bad thing, of course. Even though all of the rival games that I've talked about aren't exactly known for their meticulously built multiplayer, TDU could definitely take a page out of their book. As far as we know, online competition and interactions may be an integral part of Solar Crown. Just think back to the casino. I would say it points towards multiplayer gambling rather than it just being in single player. So with the thought of constant connectivity looming, if they get their multiplayer to work the same way, or even better than the Crew 2 or Need for Speed Heat, for example, that would be huge. We all know there have been missed opportunities in the past by these types of games.
If Solar Crown can offer stable servers and, most importantly, a functional multiplayer at release, the sky's the limit. Problem yet again is that we have nothing to judge it from. The last attempts at that under a different developer failed for Test Drive. And again, the trailers don't really give you any information at all.
Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown is an ambitious project. With 10 years of absence, lots of competitors were able to get situated and grab a big part of the biosphere. But what needs to be done in order to make Solar Crown a success?
First of all, Test Drive needs to find the best of both worlds. With Kiloton and Nacon, they have seasoned vets in the game design department under their belt. These guys should be able to bring your gameplay and your physics to a very high level. The resources are there. The KT engine can easily be applied to TDU Solar Crown. Nevertheless, you will need to be better and fresher in some departments to even compete in the market nowadays.
Something people need to keep in mind is that back in the glory days of Test Drive, open-world racing games weren't the norm, but rather the exception. You can argue Test Drive changed the whole genre and made it what it is today. That, however, does not give them bragging rights forever. They will need to deliver in terms of map design, story, and multiplayer if they want to continue releasing new installments of the series. Maybe this is all just to cater to old-school fans every 10 years and then cash out. But that is not going to be sustainable in my eyes, and a waste of potential as well.
And for the love of God, give us some crumbs of gameplay soon. The release is planned for September, which is a very long time admittedly. But GT7 released gameplay like 2 years ago. Cinematics can mean dedication by the publisher, sure. But if we don't know anything about the actual game, how are we supposed to get hyped?
10 years ago, Atari and Eden Games left the legacy of Test Drive behind. And now it is upon new developers to pick it up and write their own, hopefully successful, chapter. But if Solar Crown ends up like a clone of the previous titles, you may as well bury the series for good. Let's hope that we are in for a pleasant surprise, because otherwise, this could be the last Test Drive game we ever get to see.
I remember playing Test Drive when I was younger, and I loved it. If the series can show evolution while still making me feel like I want to own every car on the roster just to boast about it, they will be on the right track. I truly hope it will succeed, but some signs are not very promising. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to head over to overtake.gg or our YouTube and other social channels. My name is Marvin, and until next time, cheerio.